Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know already, it is time for our July reading wrap up, and I have quite a few this month. This is the physical part of the reading. There are 3 ebooks included with this, which makes this total 13 books in the month of July, which is the highest number of books I've read in a month so far. And there are some other additional interesting things. One is that there are some books in here that I will be going through very quickly because they are in another video that I did, which was a challenge. So if you haven't checked that video out, go check it out. I will let you know what ones are included. I might separate them because they were the ones at the end of the month and whatnot. Another thing is that I finally got to have my first ever ARC copy, or Read an ARC book, which is an advanced reader's copy, a book that hasn't been out at all from the actual author. Occasionally I will say that Book of the Month does give you early release books, so there are some that I probably got from Book of the Month that I don't know about because I don't keep very good tabs on release dates books. Really bad at that. Really bad. But I have my first ever ARC copy book. It's an ebook, so there is that. So let's get started. I'm going to start with my ebooks because, again, there's 3 and it's going to be a little easier to kind of go through them and whatnot. So the first one that I read this month was The Pucking Wrong Number by C.R. Jane, I believe. And that one I gave only 2 stars. It seemed like it was going to start out really good. The characters, like, they had, like, backstories that it was like, oh, what? Oh my god. And it was like, oh, they're going to fall in love and, like, be happy ever after and all that kind of stuff, right? And it's a hockey romance, too, so I was like, oh, it's going to have sports and hockey included. And it took a turn to where it just kind of seemed more creepy and, like, not, like, actual, like, relationship goals kind of thing. So I didn't like it, and I had to push through, and technically I had started this book in the month of June, and, like, it was a struggle to push through trying to finish it because it was just bizarre to me and stuff. So that one, just 2 stars. There was that. That was my only bad, like, book that I'm just absolutely, like, I did not like it this month. It was the worst. Next, we have The Pussy Next Door by Amy Ward. This is book 3 in the Cocky Kingman series, I believe it's called. And this one, I gave it a 5 star. And I can't help it, okay? Like, it's supposed to be a light, fluffy romance book with, like, a football player and, like, a curvy, like, main female character, right? And I just loved it. Like, it was funny, it was sweet, like, it seemed so realistic. And then there was a part that, like, I don't know why, but it made me just cry because it's just like, oh my gosh, like, it was emotional for me. And maybe I'm weird for liking this book, but it was a 5 star for me. I loved it, and it was so sweet, and I can't wait for the next one, which I don't know when it's going to come out because, again, I'm not good with release dates, but I know that I am signed up for this author's newsletter, so I will find out when she posts it, and if not, I will look into it. And then the last one is the ARC book, and that one is called Demi. Witchy supernatural vibes, but kind of also, like, realistic. So, like, the girl's name is Morgan, and she lives with her grandmother, and she, like, celebrates all the major, like, kind of, I guess you would say, pagan holidays maybe and stuff. Don't come after me if I'm wrong. Again, I read this book, but, like, it's one of those things where it was, like, very kind of realistic in regards to, like, the witchcraft, like, pagan kind of stuff, Wiccan, I guess you would say. So it was kind of realistic in regards to that stuff, but supernatural in regards to like some of the other stuff maybe. So there's a term for it. I know there is, where it's like supernatural but also realistic. There's a term. I don't know what it is, but I will find it. But basically her grandmother dies, and like there's like something coming after her, and she's trying to learn about what happened to her mother who disappeared. And then there's like this demon that like apparently was helping her grandma kind of, and he says that he'll help her, and things happen to where she's learning about herself, her powers, like her what happened to her mother and stuff like that. And I gave it a 4-star. It was really interesting. The only thing is like the terminology kind of like goes over my head. Like even though the author gave like descriptions of like the terms and like how to say it and stuff, it just was one of those things where when I started reading it, some of it just went whoop, and I was like, okay. And then some of it too is like there's gonna have to be a sequel. There has to be because it ends in a way where like yes, it stopped or finished what it had to do with this, but there's still more information that needs to be like figured out in regards to like her mother, and technically her father is one thing that she is still learning to do. So there is that. And now we're gonna get on to the physical books, and I'm gonna start with this one. This one was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. And I picked this up because I've been seeing it everywhere, and I was like, what is it about? Like I bought it, and then I was like, what is it about? And basically there's this girl, Pippa. She has a school project, and she apparently wants to solve this, it's kind of like a cold case basically, where this girl went missing, and then like you don't know what happened to her, and basically the town kind of accused her boyfriend of doing it, but then he ended up dead. And so she wants to go back and kind of like figure out what's the truth and stuff, but like she's doing it as a school project for her like senior year, I believe it was. And so she's digging into the crime and what happened to the girl was missing, what about the boy, did he really do it, like, and she uncovers all sorts of stuff. And it was really good. I liked it a lot. I gave it a 4-star. Did I say what the other one? The other book, Demi, was a 4-star too, by the way, if in case I forgot. But this one, like I said, I gave it a 4-star. It was really good. It is a YA book, so young adult, and I won't lie, it did kind of like in the beginning it was like hard, like it was quick and easy read, but it was like hard to like get into it fully, which is why I kind of gave it a 4-star. Like it was good, it was interesting, but like there were certain parts where like even though this was quick and easy and I could have probably finished it in like a day, like I didn't want to pick this one up instead. So that was that one. Next one is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This one as well I kept seeing all around, and I really wanted to see like what this was about. And basically Rowan and his brothers, their grandfather passes away, and in his will he leaves his company, which is like a big giant theme park and stuff, to his grandsons, but there's like terms to it. Like you have to complete this challenge in this amount of time to get it. And so Rowan, his is to find a problem that is in the park and basically solve it. And he has, I think, 6 months was what it was. And there's certain people that the grandfather appointed who would determine if he accomplished it or not. And if he doesn't accomplish it, his share goes to his dad. And the thing is that their relationship is rocky because when their mom passed away, the dad kind of like shrunk into himself and stuff. So he wasn't a good dad, basically. So Rowan and his brothers don't want their dad to get it, so they're trying to push through. Rowan then meets Zahara, who works at the park and stuff. she got burned by her last boyfriend for stealing an idea that she had. And so she's a little hesitant on like pursuing her dream of like helping create a ride or like attractions and stuff. So then Rowan has this thing where he's trying to build attractions and like fix the park. And so she submits an idea, he lets her, and then romance ensues. But of course, there's always trouble. But this book I gave a 4-star. It was so good. It was really long, but like not to the point where you're like, oh my god, why is it taking this long? It was like a slow burn kind of, but not fully because it was also quick. But it was like building up and stuff. So I don't mind when books like for romance are a little long if they're building up the characters and the story and like what's gonna happen and all that. So this one also got 4 stars. Loved it. Loved it. Next one is I was like, where is it? So next one is The Locked Door by Frida McFadden. This one I devoured. I'm realizing that I might like Frida McFadden books a lot. And like I said before in another video, I think is that there's people who love her and there's people who hate her. And I think I'm going to be one who loves her because I read this book in I think 2 days along with the other one. So this one is about a girl. Her dad was a serial murderer or serial killer. Serial killer. That's the correct term. But her dad was a serial killer and he went to prison when she was a kid, and then she went to go live with her grandma because her mom went to prison and then killed herself afterwards. She went to live with her grandma. She changed her name, basically grew up, became a doctor or a surgeon, right? And she's working at a firm with a partner that she met, I think, at college or something, right? And so they do surgeries. They own their own little, like, doctor firm kind of thing. But then patients of hers start to end up dead. And they start to have a similar MO to her dad. So the cops, who know who she is, think that she might have done it. And she's like, no, I am not. And stuff. So, and then there's some things, like, that start happening to where she gets a little suspicious. But this one I also gave a 4 stars. It was so good. So good. The ending, I was not expecting that at all. Like I said, her books have it where you think you know what's going on, and then it's like a complete curveball. So, loved it. It was good. I think the only reason I kind of gave it a 4 star is there's some parts in it where it's like, kind of cringy, like, why? So, there's that. And then, next is, this one is a book of the month book that I read, but it was a few months ago. I finally got it. This one was The Paradise Problem. I lost the dust cover jacket to it, but it's so pretty. I do love the dust cover, or the little cover that goes on here. So this one is about, I think it was Anna. She got married back in college to get a free, like, room, free boarding, free rent, basically. She marries this guy who needs to get married, and she signed divorce papers, but didn't realize that they don't come into effect until 5 years later after they were married. And then the guy she married, Liam, or I think William was his actual name, but he went by Liam, comes back because his sister's getting married, and he's again trying to earn, like, a part of will from his grandfather. And so his father is trying to, like, get him to go back and work at the company, and, like, will, like, threaten him with all sorts of stuff, and he just doesn't want to deal with it. So he goes and finds Anna after they thought they were divorced. Well, she thought she was divorced. He knew they were still married, but, like, just left and let her have her own stuff. He goes back, tries to convince her to go to his wedding, agrees to pay her because she's dealing with her father's medical expenses from cancer, and stuff, so she agrees, but she's like a little out there. And then there's some issues, of course, with pretending that they're still married and are in love, like the fact that like his family's been super rich and she was sharing an apartment with her friend and worked at a convenience store and stuff, and he told his family she's a doctor who was like in another part of the country. So it's very interesting. I gave this one a 3 stars. A lot of people love this book, and I get it, like I do, but like some of it's weird because like he's kind of like uptight in a sense, not like as much as his family is with being like rich and like snobby kind of, but he's a little more uptight. And then Anne, or Anna, she's just like kind of a slob. But again, that's kind of because of what she had to deal with. But she is funny, and like she's trying to be an aspiring artist and stuff, and it's nice. It's good, but it wasn't great. So I gave this one a 3 stars. It wasn't great. Next is The Ballad of Never After. This is the second book from the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, which I think I read the first one last month. I'm not sure, but I read the second one. This one, it's about Evangeline and Jax, and she's trying to figure out how to get her husband Apollo to wake up because she thought he was dead in the last book, but then he's not, and so she's trying to figure that out. But the only person who she can trust or who can help her is Jax, and of course she doesn't trust Jax because Jax was deceiving and kind of put things in motion to get the Valerie Arch open, which Evangeline is the key to opening the Valerie Arch. And in this one, the main plot line is that she has to go find these 4 stones to open the Valerie Arch to help her husband, because after she thought he was going to be asleep and he was still alive, then he gets cursed and is like trying to attack her and kill her, but anytime he hurts her, he's also hurting himself. So then it just goes downhill. It just goes downhill. But I gave this a 4 star. It was really interesting. There's a lot of stuff in here that it's like, in a way too, you're like looking at her like, why would you do that? But then you kind of have to realize that it's understandable in a sense based on like how she was raised and how she thinks, and that she's kind of like an optimistic person who like is hopeful and like wants to see the good. But then like with some of the stuff she's dealing with, she's starting to realize that she kind of has to be a little more realistic and realize that not everything is sunshine and rainbows. So 4 stars. That was good. And then of course, because of that, I had to know, because of near the end, the ending, oh my god, I had to go and get the 3rd book from the library. So I got A Curse for True Love. By the way, this is Stephanie Garber, her series. These are YA books, but I love this one. This one was so good. Like, it was so annoying. I still gave it a 4 stars because there is still some things that I'm just like, and like some of it too, it's like, what? And all that. So, like I said, in the last book, her husband Apollo, you thought was dead. He was really asleep. But then he woke up with a curse to where he was hunting her, but anytime he hurt her, he was hurting himself. Well, this one, it got broken, but then she loses her memories. And so he is trying to get Jax to be hunted down, basically, and saying that he did it, and he's to blame for all this tragedy and like stuff. And she's just trying to figure out like who she is, what happened. Like, she doesn't remember getting married. She doesn't remember any of that stuff. Like, she doesn't remember the first book, what happened and stuff. And like, so Apollo's telling her things, and she has to kind of like take it at face value because she doesn't know. She's completely clueless. But then like she's starting to slowly get some of her memories back. And then there's this family that comes back, and they're like taking things, and she like talks to them and stuff, and like it's interesting. But basically, she does get her memory back. She does get suspicious of things, and like she's trying to get Jax back because she loves Jax, but Jax again has a curse to where anyone he kisses like dies. And then you learn where he got the curse and who put it on him and why. And then like there's a part in like, I think it was the first one, where he mentions that he kissed this one girl and she didn't die. And he was like, oh, that's my true love. But she didn't love me. She tried to like, I think, stab him or kill him, right? And you learn from the person who cursed him that the only person he can kiss without killing is someone who hates him. Hates him. So, that was interesting. This one also got a 4 stars because the part kind of near the end where you learn that this person cursed Jax and stuff, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, it was very sudden, kind of. Like, there was like a brief kind of sort of idea and mention in the second book of this person that kind of cursed him, but you didn't know back then what she was capable of because you heard a different story. So it's kind of like some twists and turns and lies and stuff. So that one, like I said, it was a 4 stars. I finished it, this last of it. I also wish that there was a little more to the ending, kind of, and like the epilogue kind of said like some stuff, but I wish there was a little more. But I'm kind of like that way with a lot of books. So 4 stars. And then these last books, these last ones were the ones in my other video. So these are ones I'm just going to quickly touch base, but they were in a previous video. It was how many thriller books can I read in a week? And it was these 4. So quickly touch base on these. A Murder in the Family, gave it a 3 stars. Wasn't really a thriller, wasn't bad. Kind of read like a script with like articles and stuff, so the formatting was different. It was good, but I kind of felt like the end was rushed, and that I wish there was like a little more info on the ending when you find out who really did the murder. So there's that. House of Glass. This was my book of the month book. I finished it, so I'm proud of myself for finishing my July book of the month in July. We'll see if I can keep that momentum going. But this one I also gave 3 stars. It was interesting and stuff, but like the build up to it was kind of slow, and like it kept making you suspect the little girl in the story. And then like it was one of those things where it was interesting, but like there was something that just seemed a little weird and bizarre and like missing. So 3 stars. The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. This was the first one I read of Riley Sager and the first thriller book I read in the challenge. I gave it a 3 stars because the buildup was really slow, and like it was trying to keep me interested, but it was really slow and took a while. The twist at the end was very weird and bizarre also, and like people love that twist, and like I think that's what gave them, like I've seen a lot of people that I follow on like BookTube and like Bookstagram, all that, they love this book, and I get it because of the ending, but like the start to it is a little hard, and then just the part of the supernatural thing, it's a little wild and crazy for me, so I'm not a huge fan of it. I give it a 3 stars. And then this is Survive the Night. This was the Riley Sager book I finished the challenge with. I also gave this a 3 stars. It took over almost half the book before it got good and interesting, and that just should not happen. And the ending was very interesting and good, and like had some plots and twists, and like, oh my gosh, what's going on? But the fact that it took almost half the book for me to actually like still be interested is that. And then of course the fact that the girl willingly got in a car with a stranger after her best friend was murdered by a serial killer, it's just like, I just couldn't get that. It was weird. So there is that. Those were my July books I'm having a little brain fart. But those were my July books. Again, tell me what you read of my books. Like, did you read the same ones before? Do you have the same thoughts, different thoughts? Tell me what you think. And I will see you guys in August for some other fun challenges or book ideas. Also, make sure you like and subscribe to keep up to date with me. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.